Yellowstone, hit with a swarm of 200 earthquakes, reveals a restless beast. An ominous swarm of hundreds of earthquakes were detected beneath the notorious Yellowstone supervolcano, revealing just how volatile it is. And something is causing the Yellowstone supervolcano to stir in its sleep. A swarm of 200 earthquakes were detected beneath the slumbering giant. This was in February of last year. 2018 had over 2,000 largish earthquakes. Now, in the beginning of last year, the number of accompanying tremors was countless, and we have countless of tremors every day in Yellowstone. Now, given the earth-shattering power of this supervolcano, which is capable of covering much of the United States under a thick blanket of lava and ash, it's enough to raise some serious eyebrows. USGS Volcano says small earthquake swarms at Yellowstone National Park. 180 events located in the beginning of February. Location similar to last summer's swarm, they say, and it's a common area of swarm seismicity. No other changes noted. But none of the quakes have been huge. The biggest came in just at a magnitude of 2.9. This means the shake was just strong enough to be barely felt by some people, but there was no damage to any structure. And the underground movements that caused them are not likely to have had any impact on the 250 billion cubic kilometer ticking time bomb of molten rock in its magma. That we know of, anyway. The United States Geological Survey says most of the flurry of activity came at a depth of about 8 kilometers near West Yellowstone, Montana. Earthquake swarms are nothing new, especially in Yellowstone. They can be triggered by a shift in pressure along a fault line. This can be caused by changes in the amount of nearby subterranean water or even the gas, as well as movements of the magma. Yellowstone has an excess of all of these three, and movements in the massive tectonic plates that shape our planet's surface can also play a part. One of these is also at play under Yellowstone. But the devil is in the details. The U.S. National Park Service says that, on average, Yellowstone is generally shaken by between 1,000 and 3,000 quakes every year. Quote, it is not an imminent hazard, and quote, volcanologist Guillaume Girard told National Geographic, quote, every study has concluded that there is no magma that is ready to erupt within any foreseeable future, end quote. But last year, that means the year before, 2,400 quakes registered on seismic sensors between June and September alone. Quote, that is what Yellowstone does. This is Yellowstone being Yellowstone, unquote. Scientist in charge of the USGS Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, Michael Poland, explained, it experiences swarms all the time. The biggest quake last year was a magnitude 4.4, a strength people would feel, but not likely to cause anything more than minor damage. So far, the biggest recorded quake in the supervolcano was a magnitude 7.3 in 1959. Dozens of people died in landslides at that time. At this level, most buildings within the affected area were seriously damaged or collapsed. Poland says one of the potential explanations for why this area is so swarmy is that the whole crust in the area is still adjusting to the big earthquake that took place in 1959. Can you imagine? It's still swinging and still weak because of that huge earthquake. Signs of things to come. People tend to focus on the possibility of a huge eruption, which is vanishingly small, Poland told Live Science, but the real threat comes from a more traditional but still extreme earthquake, something in the area of a magnitude 7, for example. Poland says when they do happen, they're going to shake the region pretty severely, so people should be prepared for that. But the fact there is a supervolcano right there will continue to play on everybody's mind. As we know, it blew big in 630,000 years ago. Most of the current national park sits in its enormous caldera. Its ancient ash and lava flows can be found over almost all of the continental United States. It last experienced an eruption, a much smaller one, only about 70,000 years ago. And when it comes to supervolcanoes, there is yet no way to tell when an explosion is due, so US scientists are constantly watching the 3 fault lines that cross the park, and every tremor adds to their understanding of what lies beneath. Now, we did post a video yesterday with new findings from university studies saying that even earthquakes from nearby faults can trigger the collapse of the roof of the magma chamber, and a supervolcano would be able to erupt, and that supervolcanoes do not act as regular volcanoes act. So I'll leave a link below for you for this on News Australia. In addition to the various earthquakes that we saw, there have been swarms due to strange lights or craft above Yellowstone, above the geyser basins. These craft would fly over the area and earthquake swarms would take place. The same thing happened with, as you can see here, a lightning strike. Very strange lightning strike right over the geyser basin, as you can see here. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.